Today's Dirt Path devotional comes from 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 7. It says, Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord. The word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. Samuel is a very important figure in the Bible. He's going to become a mighty prophet of God, the one who anoints the first kings over Israel. However, Samuel doesn't know God yet at this point. He's born of a very godly woman who's named Hannah. Hannah couldn't have kids before Samuel. She struggled with that, and that struggle put her kind of in a wrong light in the eyes of her husband, and kind of made her an object of ridicule by her husband's other wife. So when they go to the house of God to worship at Shiloh, she tells God, "Hey, if you give me a son, I will give him back to you." And that's really what she does. So Hannah's a very godly woman and honors not just God's words, but the words that she says back to God. So Samuel, he's going to be this prophet, but he hasn't even heard God's voice yet. He has a godly mother, but he hasn't heard God's voice for himself yet. But he also grows up in the house of the Lord under the priest named Eli. Samuel grows up in the house of God, but yet at this point he hasn't heard God's voice yet. He hasn't experienced God yet. He has a godly mother, but he still hasn't experienced God for himself yet. See, the lesson in that for you and I is faith isn't based on her hereditary genes. It's not something passed through bloodlines. Faith is something that you experience through a relationship with God, and being more specific, having a relationship with Jesus Christ. It's a decision that you make when you personally encounter him for yourself. Now, that personal decision leads you to be part of a wider body of a group of believers called the church. But it's up to each and every one of us to gain faith when we have our own personal encounter with the God who loves us, with the Savior who died for us. Now, one cool thing about this story, though, is, if you look in the 1 Samuel 3, the rest of this story, Samuel is fortunate that he has Eli around, because Samuel's hearing the voice of God, but he's not heard it before, so he doesn't know what it is. But Eli recognized it, and he's able to point that out to Samuel. So where are you at in your life? Are you like Samuel? Have you never heard the voice of God before, never experienced it, but maybe God's talking to you? Hey, surrender yourself to that voice, trust it. Or maybe you're someone who's like an Eli, who you're around somebody who's struggling with that. Now is your opportunity to tell them that this is indeed the voice of God.